All right, hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. So today, going to continue working on Gunforged content stuff. I've got a whole list of things that I want to work on here, and I've also gotten through a huge chunk of the list, especially yesterday. So I'll show you the new stuff that I've added at the beginning of the stream here, and then we're going to continue on. I'm going to make it so that weapon parts become more common depending on which weapon parts you have. So basically, let's say that you have the dragon part, it will make the dragon parts more common, and the idea is that it'll become easier to construct a full thematic gun, which gives you the set bonus. So I'm just going to bias those in the player's favor a little bit, and do some UX or quality of life improvements here. I want to update some of the wording across the game to make the status effects more clear. And I also want to add a rat gun and a new affix for that. So we're going to see how much we get to. But before I show you what's new and before we get into the work, I want to remind everyone that all the ways that you can support me are linked in the description below. You can pick up one of my Udemy courses if you'd like to learn how to build a game in the Godot engine. You can also wishlist Gunforged, which will be releasing relatively soon, targeting the end of February for that. And that's kind of why I'm super focused on just churning through this backlog right now so I can have that ready to go. So yeah, just check out the description below. Links to everything and, well, everything and everywhere, I guess, are there. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, Momo. Welcome back. Great to see you again. Hello, Anykey. Still not putting the Gunforged logo in the letterbox for better visibility. Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea, but I just don't have... I'm monomaniacally focused on Gunforged, so I haven't set aside any time to add that. Hello, Emerson. Welcome. Good morning to you. Hello, Polaris. Thank you. Hope you have a nice day as well, or had a nice day. All right, let me show you what I've added now. So, what did I add? I added a new enemy type yesterday. Okay, well, we'll see if the project builds anytime today. Oh, okay, there we go. So I added a new enemy. I just call him Shadow. So spawn Shadow. And this enemy has a little party hat for some reason. I don't know, I thought it would be funny. But his kind of deal is that he shrinks into the ground as a pile of shadow, and then just kind of speeds directly toward you. Now, he's not invulnerable during this stage, but his hitbox is a lot smaller. So you could still shoot him if you want, but the idea is that this is just kind of like a get-in-your-face kind of enemy that forces you to move. Otherwise, he will get you. So the shadow, when he pops up, he will shoot a single bullet, and that can really mess you up. And if you're standing still... well, he died. And if you're standing still, then he'll just kind of like get right up in your face and just immediately damage you. So basically, it's just an enemy that forces you to move. Pretty basic. Didn't take too long to throw together. So, but I like the way it feels. And when I do some playtesting, I'll check it out. But I may change that guy so that he becomes like a bomber, you know what I mean? So he runs up to you and like explodes in your face. But like I said, I'm going to play test it first and see how that feels. And then the other thing I added is I made the bosses a little bit more satisfying to kill. Now I'm trying to figure out how I want to test this. If I go to my dungeon level, I guess I'll just fight the Rat King. Gun Necromancer, right. I'll just fight the Rat King and then you'll see what happens when he dies. I'm invulnerable now. There's an easier way to test this, but it's fine. I'll just fight him. Okay, here we go. Boom. And now he explodes into gold. All right, so that that was one of the other things I added. So it explodes into gold. I also added sound effects for that. I don't know if you could hear it that well, but anyway, those were like the major things that I got done last night among a host of other things. So yeah, just tons and tons of stuff getting done. So yeah, anyway, let's get right into what I want to do today. So I want to modify this loot table based on the IDs of the weapon parts that the player currently has. So again, if you've got like one piece with the Necromancer gun, the idea is to make the other parts a lot more common. Or not a lot more common, but just more common such that, again, you can more easily construct a thematic gun for the set bonus. So this is the relevant area here. So this pick gun part. Find all references. So this is coming from pick scaled part resources, and that's being chosen by the upgrade table. So that is fine. So I think really what I need to do is I just need to go in here, pick gun part loot table, pick item. So this gun part loot table here, this needs to be updated. So I'm going to create a new loot table. Private read-only loot table string biased gun part loot table. Okay, so we've got the bias table. So what I need is I need this. This is going to be a little bit tricky, but private read-only list loot table dot loot table. Do I need to do string dot table data? Yeah, so gun part loot table items. So I need to create a list of all of the items being added. So in here, this pick gun part. What I want to do actually is, let me think. Populate gun part loot table, that's correct. So here, all table data. Select filter. Oh, this creates loot table data for me. Okay, well that's good. So what I can do actually in here is I can do gun part loot table items. Oh, that's read only. Okay. So I'm gonna store that items in a list here. Gun part loot table items. This doesn't need to be add range. This can be set data. Okay. So now that I'm storing the original entries, I can modify the gun part loot table, or I can actually, do I want to do that? I might get rid of this. Yeah, I might just get rid of this and keep the biased table. So we'll just keep it like that. Okay. Cool. So I've got all the records here. So now what I need to do is, I think when the wave, let me think. When the wave ends is probably when I want to randomize, or when the wave starts, because it doesn't really matter. Get wave manager dot connect. Wave manager dot signal name dot wave. It doesn't matter. I'll just do it on wave start. Callable dot from update. Well, let's do this. Callable from on wave started. Private void on wave started. and we can call update bias loot table in here. So I'll just go ahead and create a new method here. Update bias loot table. And then this is where I can do all the things that I need to do here. Okay, all right. So your pixel art video was really helpful. Do you plan on making one for music? I don't know anything about making music, so no. I'd have to learn how to do that first. But yeah, I just hire people to do my music for my games. So, but thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you. What am I trying to say? Why can't I speak today? I'm glad that you found the pixel art video helpful. And welcome to the stream, Tetra. Actually, welcome back. I think you've been here before. Good morning, Vietnam. Hello, Hawk Game Dev. Welcome, welcome. I played Gunforge demo last night and had a lot of fun. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, Hori Portier. Yeah, I'm gonna update the demo here shortly. I think within the next week or two, with all of the new changes that I've added. What is the demo out? Yeah, the demo's been out. It doesn't contain a lot of the changes from the past like 2 months of work, or month and a half, or whatever it is. So there's like no drag and drop system. There's no innate rune system in the demo. So I want to get that demo updated, ideally before the end of January, so that when I start my marketing effort in February and I start sending a bunch of people to the Steam page, that the game is as close to the final game as possible. So yeah. All right, so in this update bias loot table, what do I need to do? I need to do this. Gun part loot table items. Let's do this. This.getPlayer.gunManager.get gun part resources. Gun slot.left. So let's do this. Far left resources. Far right resources. We'll just do this. If player equals null, biased gun part loot table dot set data, gun part loot table items, return. So we'll just use the default data if the player is not available. I don't know why the player would never be available, but I suppose it's possible that for debug purposes, I may want to just pick things. So we'll just make sure that the gun part table is just identical to vanilla, and then return. Otherwise, we can do player.gunManager.get gun part resources. What? Where's this coming from? That's not right. Okay, so there's our left and right resources. Now, if I'm not mistaken, dot Pascal ID prefix. ID prefix. I think ID prefix is what I want. So the ID prefix is like, so every gun part has an ID. So for instance, it'll be like necromancer underscore barrel, necromancer underscore receiver, necromancer underscore magazine. And the way that I know if there's a set bonus happening is I just basically remove the receiver, barrel, or magazine part, and I call that my ID prefix. So all of those ID prefixes then will all be necromancer, and then I know that those parts are part of the same thematic group, right? So I'm not setting like any enums or flags or anything in the code. It's mostly just doing like a string matching. So basically what I need to do here is I'm going to, when I call update bias loot table, I'm going to create a hash set var player. Actually, not a hash set. That's not what I want to do. let's do a dictionary. So var dictionary. Let's do ID prefix to count equals new dictionary string int. Okay. And then what I can do in here is I can say for each var resource in left resources, right resources. It's not going to let me do that. Can I do, does it let me do this? I'm still getting used to these new like spread operators. New gun part resource. It doesn't want me to do that. Okay. I don't remember how to concatenate arrays, so can I do this? There's no target, but then I can do this, right? Gun part resource. There we go. Okay. Goodness. So I'm just creating a combined array of the weapon resources for both the left and the right gun. Then for each resource and gun part resources, I can say ID to prefix count.try add ID to prefix count resource.id prefix, increment that. Okay, so that will just count up all the resources, and then what I can do is I can say biased gun part loot table. Yeah, so let's do this. For each var entry in gun part loot table items, let's do item here. Var, let's do this. Private const int bias weight diff. Let's do 2, I suppose. I'll just call it bias weight. So on the bias weight here, what we'll do is we'll say, okay, gun part loot table items dot. Oh, no, not that. Gun part loot table. Bias gun part loot table. Can I do dot set data and just do empty here? So we set the data to empty, and then for each of these loot table items, we say bias gun part loot table dot add item, item dot object, item dot weight var occurrences is equal to ID to prefix count. Well, I want to do try get value, so this is going to be a little bit different. Try get value string key, so item dot. Oh, this is actually not correct. Gun part resource dot from ID. Item dot object dot ID prefix. Out var occurrences. Okay. Whew. All right, so I need to convert it to a part resource first, because this dot object here is going to be the full ID of the gun part resource. And then I convert that to a gun part resource here, which is just a lookup. So it's not doing anything fancy. It is duplicating the resource though. So that might be unideal, but that's all right. So actually, can I do get ID prefix? I might do that instead. Public static Oh wait, that's not going to help, is it? It doesn't matter. All right, don't need to overthink it. So we're going to say item.weight plus occurrences times bias weight. So if it's got 0 occurrences, in terms of the player owning it, then it will just not change the weight. So I'm gonna add some logs in here too, but let's go ahead. From a software perspective, what's your definition of done when it comes to games? I know updates occur, but V1 usually has some kind of goal. Curious as what you consider as done. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky problem, right? Done to me just means like, what is the minimum set of functionality and content that needs to be in place in order for my targeted price point to be reasonable? So that I'm still learning about this, so I'm not sure that I have a great answer, but that's basically it. And so I kind of evaluate all the work that I'm doing through that lens. Like, what does it mean for the game to be worth the money that I want to charge? Well, it needs to feel good, right? It needs to have relatively few or no UX problems. The player education needs to be there. And of course, then there needs to be the content, right? The content needs to feel good and it needs to feel engaging and it needs to be, polished and have animations and particles and sound effects. So yeah, it's a tough question to answer, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Hello, Abo, welcome back. After Gunforged, are you going to use GDScript? I might, we'll see. I have to do some, because my next game I want to be a multiplayer game, and I want to use the Steam networking, and there's the Godot Steam binary. That's a third party, but it only supports GDScript right now, so it depends on how easy it is. If I may just end up using GDScript because I need to use the Steam networking, but we'll see. Thank you, Snup Bill, for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciate it. Again, that's very generous with the classic message. Yummers. Always look forward to that. Thank you, thank you. I think the content versus sales question would make a great YouTube video if you haven't done that already. Yeah, the thing is, I try to avoid doing like videos on things that I don't have direct experience with. So I'll probably do a video like maybe outlining the strategy, and so after Gunforge is published, outline like what my strategy was and then see how that panned out. But yeah, I don't know if I can really be educating on that necessarily. Sounds good. Yeah, it's a tough thing to answer. Appreciate it. Yeah. I'm doing well today. I hope you're doing well today. Yes, I am. Thank you. Hope your day's going well as well, Damien. Okay, let's put some logs in here. So we've got the update bias loot table here. So we're setting the data to 0, and then we're adding this item only if that occurrences is there. So this should be, this should be fine. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a log here. Logger.debug. Gun part loot table log. And then here, I'll do a string interpolation here. Added item dot obj with original weight, item dot weight, and biased weight. I guess I'll just duplicate this. Okay, let's go ahead and give that a gander. Is there a way to make multiplayer peer-to-peer game in Godot for free? I mean, server side. No, I mean, if you're talking about a dedicated server, then I mean, you could like always host a server in your basement or something, but typically you'd need to pay for like a cloud server. So it's always going to cost some money to have a dedicated server. But if you're talking about server authoritative, like what I'm going to do for my multiplayer game is like, it's going to be kind of peer-to-peer, but what it's going to do is whoever is hosting the lobby is going to be the authority. And so it's going to be server authoritative in the sense that whoever's hosting has the final say on what all the other players are doing. And I think that's a good balance between like, because with just pure peer-to-peer, you know, you could just connect with people who are messing around and trying to hack the game or whatever and cheat. And it's like, you know, that could be acceptable depending on what kind of game you're making. But with a pure server authority, you can really prevent cheating a lot better. But I think this hybrid approach where it's like the host is going to have the authority, which means that whoever's hosting knows that if they're not running cheats, then no one else is going to be able to cheat and mess up their save or whatever, right? But as the host, you could also cheat and like modify the game for the rest of the players. So it's kind of like a nice middle ground, I think. And also I don't have to pay for dedicated servers. It's mostly going to be like the game I want to make next is like, I want to make it fun as a single player game, but I also want to make it really fun to just like grab your friend and hop in and like 30 seconds later you're just slaughtering a bunch of things. Because I think me and my friend, we try to find games to play together all the time, and it's like there's like a very distinct lack of roguelite / roguelikes that are online multiplayer. And so I think there's a huge opportunity there. Let's see if these logs are working. It doesn't look like it's working. Maybe the wave start hasn't been emitted yet. I kind of want to make a multiplayer game that has some same multiplayer system in Crab Game. Players create lobbies and people can join them. Yeah, I think you can do that with the Steam networking. I'm not sure. I don't think you need a network. You don't need a dedicated server for that, but I think you can like broadcast like a server availability through the Steam API. So that could be something that I could easily add if Steam works that way. Okay, so this actually isn't working. So it looks like that was never connected. So let me think. Is this an auto load? Arena Loot Manager. Arena Loot Manager. View owners. Okay, so why is it not able to connect? Get Wave Manager. Wave Manager. It should be here. Why is it not connected? Populate gun part loot table. Let me try this. gd.print this.get wave manager. We're going to figure out why this isn't working. I don't know if I need to switch to Unity for that or no, but Steam networking is paid. I want to know if I can do that freely. Is Steam networking paid? Is that true? I don't I don't think Steam networking costs money, but maybe I'm wrong. I think that's just included with the typical 30% cut that Valve takes. Your multiplayer framework is engine independent most of the time. You can integrate Steam with all engines. Yeah, that's true. I'm more so looking for something that's like already out of the box, ready to use in Godot. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely interface with it yourself. Multiplayer course on Udemy would be very nice. It's a shame that Steam compatible multiplayer session handling and all that other stuff is not allowed in tutorials. NDA sucks. Yeah, the Steam NDA is a little bit iffy there, but yeah, I definitely want to do a multiplayer course at some time, but first I want to make like a serious multiplayer game so I like really understand all the pitfalls of everything and how to go about building a multiplayer game in a proper way. And then, yeah, I will definitely share that knowledge. Is this just not working? Does it think the player has no... Is this not working? What is going on here? So this is 0. Maybe the player wasn't ready yet. We'll fight through this wave and then we'll see. As far as I know, you can implement lobbies where one player is the host and others can directly join for free. There are many frameworks handling this. I don't know if Steam offers a lobby browser, but if not, you would need at least some sort of server service that lists all the hosted lobbies to connect directly to them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Steam has a way of like broadcasting which servers are available for connection for your game. I think there's an API for that. But like I've only done a very like small amount of preliminary research, so take it with a grain of salt as always. Okay, so now everything's here. Okay, so run this. I go back to my logs now. Let's see. I guess I need to do this. Yeah, let me see. All right, here we go. Banana barrel with biased weight. Oh, very nice. Cool. All right, so the problem is that this just isn't... Maybe I'll connect to this in a deferred fashion and see. uint connect flags.deferred. I want to run this again and see. What I should be seeing is that that table gets updated right on the start of the game. I mean, it might be just easier for me to... You know, instead of doing that, I'm going to change this to wave completed. Let's see. Actually, let me wave manager on wave completed. Or no, wave completed. Okay, whatever. Okay, I think that's fine. So I'm just going to switch this to on wave completed. And then let's go ahead and check that out. So I should see that log as soon as I finish the first wave now. Steamworks docs seem to indicate you can have lobbies. Very nice. You need to host your own servers or make a P2P and use Steam to avoid leaking IPs. Yeah. I mean, the goal would be to use the Steam APIs for everything. So like server browser connecting to your friends through like the join friend list item, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll see. But first, got to get Gunforged done. Okay, let me see. Nice. All right, let's see. Shotgun. Moss. Yeah, I mean, the bias is small, but I think it's enough to be noticeable. So I can always tweak that number later, but I think this feature is basically in place now. So that was relatively easy. Okay. Add biased loot table for gun parts. I have a related feature that I want to work on here, which is I want to make it so that when you purchase a gun part from the shop, the old gun part that gets removed gets sent back to the forge, to the upgrade table. So let me take a look at this. Show Gunforge UI. Part resources. Set part options. Create part resources. So that's on reroll. So I think if I do this, sorry, I'm just trying to think about this real quick. So add part resource. So basically what I need to do in shop UI here, in equip gun part. So we've got the removed part here, removed part.affixes.clear. I'm not even doing anything with this removed part. I don't know why. Anyway. Removed part. Yeah, so that's fine. So we clear the affixes out of the removed part. So basically what I want to do here is then do this dot... let me think. I don't really like doing this, but... I think the easy thing to do here is going to be to add this to the group. And then here in the shop UI, this dot get, I don't need to do this, get tree, get first node in group, upgrade table, question mark dot add part resource, removed part. So it's just going to target that table directly and try to add it if it exists. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to our random encounter handler and let's turn the shop up to a lot. And then we'll go ahead and test this out. So basically what I'm trying to do is like when I buy a part from the shop, what happens is it gets immediately placed onto the weapon. The problem is that if you decided you didn't really like that purchase, you had no way of going back to your old part. So I'm just going to kind of in the background send the parts that were removed back to the upgrade table, so you can always go back there and it will be in that list if you want to put it back on, or if you want to move it to your other gun or whatever. Hello, Neozoid. Welcome back to the stream. Lurk, yeah. Lurking is fine. Got a lot of lurkers. Oh, I forgot to give myself gold. Okay. Add gold. Actually, you know what? I didn't finish that code, did I? Nope. Okay. All right. Can I do this? Oh. Part resources. This needs to be part resources. Okay. We'll get this testing done correctly one of these days. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is give myself a bunch of gold, because the shop won't appear if you don't have enough gold. So I need to add gold first, and then fight through that wave. Okay, now we can see if I get some parts at the shop. Okay, so let me do this first. So I've got crystal, shotgun, receiver. Okay, so if I replace, for example, the moss receiver, if I can do that, or any of the moss parts really. So I do this, boom, and I go back to the table. I've got my moss magazine put right back there. So that's perfect. And I should just be able to do this basically to everything. And now if I go back to this part table, there we go. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's about as big as it can be. This gets really squished down here, so I might need to add, I mean, as long as it doesn't get squished beyond one row, I guess that's fine. If I re-roll, it should replace all those. So yeah, I mean, that would be the most extreme case. I don't think most people are going to buy all the items that the shop has to offer, but let me just try again. I'm just going to buy everything that the shop has and then see if that really messes up the UI at all or not. Might have to add a scroll container to that. Wow, I'm making a lot of money here. Increased health, doesn't really matter. Okay, so we got 3 items there. Might as well buy all these too. Okay, so everything should be back here. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think it's going to be very common. I don't think players are going to be able to buy, number one, all of the parts, but number two, I don't think they're going to want to. So even if that does create a little bit of UI wonkiness, I don't think it's really that big of a problem to address for now. But yeah, now I have access to all the gun parts that I replaced, and I can always just go reroll, boom. Yeah. Cool. I don't think they'll buy everything, proceeds to check if it break things anyway, 10 out of 10, yeah. I mean, I don't... Yeah, I mean, it is an issue, and I would fix it even in its current state, just like give it a scroll bar, but the fact that it's not going to happen and that it doesn't really permanently break things is fine for me to ignore, I think. I could make a note of it, but I don't think it's worth doing that either, honestly. Okay, so that worked out a lot easier than I thought it was going to. Okay, add parts, add removed parts from shop to upgrade table. Perfect, alrighty. So that one can be marked off. All right, do a verbiage pass on status effect text for clarity. I think I'm gonna do that. I might also bump down the damage of the status effects. I'm going to do a pass on the damage here, because a lot of the status effects do a lot of damage, and so I might just tone that down just a bit, because a lot of the passives too rely on like status effects being applied or existing, and if the enemies are pretty much dying instantly, in part because the status effects do a lot of damage, then just lowering that damage should make it easier to trigger certain build elements and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to try that, but definitely we'll do a verbiage pass on this. Okay, but I'm gonna take a quick 2-minute break, and when I come back we will do this kind of work. Not the most exciting work, but this is work that needs to be done, and then I don't think that's going to take very long, and then we'll spend the rest of the stream working on a rat gun, which I think is going to be fun. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to go on my quick 2-minute break. In the meantime, check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways that you can support me. Give me 2 minutes and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I drank a little bit too much coffee this morning, if you know what I mean. Okay, anyway, so we're gonna do a verbiage pass, but first let's actually turn the damage of these things down. So this is largely just gonna be guesswork. I do know that they're too strong right now, so I'm just gonna bump things down. Let's start with like the poison status. Let's start with bleed, okay. So bleed status. Where actually is the text? Oh, I guess I would need to do the bleed affix. Yeah, okay. Bleed increases the damage enemies take, okay. Okay, bleed status. Damage percent per stack, 10%. So bleed doesn't need to be changed, but I do need to change the, apply on hit. What is the max stacks here? 10. Up to 10. So the thing is, with my verbiage here, I need to say what the cap is on the stacks of the status, and I also need to indicate what the status does with more clear terms. So bleed increases the bullet damage enemies take by 10% per stack. Okay, so that's like what I'll be doing here, basically. So back to the bleed status, fire status. So this damage percent, let's see. This happens on tick timeout. Total ticks equals, there should be round. No, it's fine, seal to int. Total ticks, duration seconds. So I don't know how long that fire status timer is. Close others. It's 0.25 seconds. Okay. So this is ultimately doing 12% weapon DPS per second for 2 seconds. Poison does 8%. Okay. Let me look up my poison status here. Is that 8% per second? Or let's see. Half a second. So that does 8%. It does 16% a second. Oh wow. Poison is really out of there. So fire status is going to do 12% per second for 2 seconds. We'll make poison do... So if that does 12% per second, let's make poison do 8% per second. I don't think I'm going to change fire. So let's do poison. We'll do... for 3 seconds. So we're going to turn the duration down. So it's going to do more damage total than fire because it lasts longer, but it's going to do less damage per tick. So let's do 0.04. Damage percent times tick base damage. Right. So that's going to be doing 8%. Oh, is that per stack though? That's per stack. Well, we'll try it. That's a fairly big nerf. I nerfed the damage by like 50%, so we'll try that. Okay. Poison affix adds on hit up to 10. Poison deals what is it? 8% DPS per second per stack. Okay. Fire affix on hit up to 5. Fire, let's just copy this verbiage here. Fire deals 12% of weapon DPS per second per stack. Is that right? Fire status. It's ticking 4 times a second, so 0.03 times 4 is 0.12. Okay. Okay, and then let's see, poison status, shock status. This one doesn't have any indicators as to what kind of damage it does. It's 3. Okay, 3 times current stacks. I feel like maximum stacks is 5. I'm gonna bump this up. So let's do this. Private const float damage percent is equal to 0.05. Damage percent. Okay, and then we'll go to shock affix. Adds. What is the max here? Get maximum stacks 5. Okay. To 5. Shock calls down lightning bolts that deal 5% weapon DPS per stack. Is that what I made it? 5%? Yeah, so that'll be a 25% free damage if you get maxed out on the stacks there. Okay, oil status does this. Oil status. Again, we're up to 5. Up to 5. Oil slows enemies by, what is it? 10% per stack. Okay. What other statuses we got? Haunt. Incapacitated. I don't even use the incapacitated status anymore. Haunt, bleed. Okay, let's do Haunt now. So Haunt is 2% damage. But how many ticks is that? Duration seconds. So 2. Where's my Haunt at? I think Haunt is relatively quick, actually. Haunt. Tick timer, 0.2 seconds. So it's 5 times a second. So that does 10% per stack. Which is fine. That's a relatively high amount. Which is fine because it's a high damage, but in order for Haunt to work, enemies have to be in proximity to each other, so it's kind of like weak in that sense. Like the enemy that you apply Haunt to doesn't take damage from the Haunt directly. So I think that's fine. So where's my Haunt affix? Haunt deals 10% of weapon DPS. Yeah, that's right. Haunt deals 10% of weapon DPS per second per stack to the nearest enemy. Perfect. Okay. So I didn't really nerf that much. I nerfed the damage of poison and the duration of poison. I nerfed I buffed the damage of the shock. Bleed didn't change. Fire didn't change. Yeah, I think that's fine. Hello, Nepal V. It's going well. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Coffee mentioned. Now I must go get more. Yeah, that's how it goes. Hello, Rin. Welcome back. Great to see you. How are you doing? Coffee check. Good morning. Yes. Good morning, Defected. Hello, Old Rod. Welcome back to you. Lurker mode active. Well, there you go. Come and lurk with me. I mean, I guess I'm not lurking, but hello, Dione. I know I'm a tad late on this, but coffee doesn't work for me. Oh, well. Yeah, I mean, it still tastes good. How do you handle droppable data and so on? I have like a JSON for all items with their name, attributes, and sprite shader, and then JSONs for loot tables where I reference them in IDs and drop chance. Yeah, I mean, that's a decent way to do it. I mean, I do everything with loot tables, and I set up the loot tables through code. Now, I do have it automated in many cases, in most cases actually. So if for instance, these affixes here, these are all custom resources, and I have a loot weight export property here on the resource. And then what happens on startup is that my code scans this directory and loads all of these resources and adds them to the loot table in accordance with their loot weight. And so that's basically kind of what I'm doing the same thing as you basically, except I'm just using the file system or the directory structure as like my database instead of putting it all into like a single JSON file. If I needed more flexibility, like conditionality around when the things could be added to the loot table, I'd probably do a more sophisticated solution like using JSONs and whatnot, but my game is relatively simple. So, and then of course I'm updating the loot tables during runtime to bias certain things in favor of the player. So as you collect bleed items, for instance, then you'll get more bleed items. The idea is to facilitate the builds without putting too heavy of a thumb on the scale, but also like I'm trying to rescue the player from just pure RNG, because like you can play 100 runs trying to get a certain build and it just never happens. But if I can cut that down to like, well, you could get the build that you want every 1 out of 20 runs or 1 out of 10 runs, then that feels much better, right? So why do you not use constants in description strings? Maybe a bug in the future when you change constant and forget to update description. The only reason I'm doing it this way is because these things aren't related to each other properly. So this poison affix here is a rune. This is a rune description, whereas the status itself is a completely different concept. Now I could like maybe export these constants here and reference them in the description, which probably would work, but yeah, I guess I don't have a proper relationship between these things, so I'm just manually typing in the data. And the other thing is I don't need a very, I mean, I guess I could just export those constants or make those constants public, and then I could just put them in here. Yeah, I could do that. But I haven't had much problem just updating it manually. Okay, thanks. You're welcome. Or, oh, you're welcome. No, I asked you how you were doing and you said, okay, all right. Got to keep track of the chat a little bit better. I need at least 2 monsters to get through the day. Oh, yeah. Smart solution too. I just use JSONs because my game is like RPG crafting. I have many different entities which can drop like trees, stone nodes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a better approach for a more complex game. Okay, so update affix descriptions and stats. Sweet. I guess I should build and just make sure I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, so I did that, and I did that. Okay, so now it looks like we can get started on a rat gun as a new content item. Let me think. What do I want to do first? So the rat gun, I think I want it to be accompanied by this affix here. Oops. This affix here. Bullets always follow the crosshair. So as the bullets are traveling, they always travel toward wherever your crosshair is. So that would allow you to create bullets that you can steer effectively. The tricky thing is that this needs to work with... It needs to work with all of the other bullet travel definitions. So like the skeleton, the necromancer bullets, which are skeletons, they pathfind around the level, but they should also still be affected by things like following the crosshair. So they should be like trying to go toward their target, but also being pulled toward the crosshair a little bit. Like those need to blend very nicely. So that's the consideration that I have to make here. But so I think I want to do this first. I want to make that. So let's see, affix, bullet track, bullet split. Let's create a new one here. Affix resource, bullet follow crosshair. What I want to call this? Guiding hand. We'll call it guiding hand. Internal cooldown is nothing. Loot weight is 10. That's fine. Okay, that's done. No, I'm just kidding. I got to do the actual programming now. Wait a minute. Oh. Okay. So I need... What is it called? Range affix, critical chance affix. There's one that I'm looking for specifically. Bullet track affix, this one. Copy this. New file. Bullet follow crosshair affix. Okay. All right, I create a travel definition for that. Bullet follow crosshair travel definition. Scenes component bullet, yes. Add a script to it. Scripts. Game.component bullet. Okay. Override. What I need to override, apply travel update. So this should be relatively simple, I think. Return new travel result, calculated velocity, vector2 dot 0. So var, let's do this. Var crosshair direction is equal to args.bulletComponent.global position dot direction to this dot get player dot input manager dot get aim position. I think that's right. Or let's do this. Var aim position. If player is equal to null. Actually, I'm going to do this. Public static read only empty. Oops. Actually, travel result empty equals new. So I'll just return an empty travel result. Return travel result dot empty. Okay. Oops. Oops. So then I don't need to do all this stuff because I'll know that the player is around. So I don't need to do all this null chaining. So we got the crosshair direction. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to use the bullet's speed, I think. So I'm going to say calculated velocity is equal to crosshair direction times args dot gun bullet component dot gun stats dot bullet speed. So I'm basically just saying, hey, make the velocity point, well, make the velocity a velocity pointing in the direction of the crosshair with the magnitude equal to the bullet. So what ends up happening though in the bullet component is all of those bullet travel definitions are iterated over here. So for each, and it's getting all their velocities and whatnot. And then what it does is it ends up averaging out all of the returned calculated velocities from all the travel results. So if I have one travel definition that's pointing one way and one that's pointing another, I'll get kind of like I'll get something in the middle. And that was the way that I found to make like a most elegant mixture of a bunch of different travel results together. And there's going to be some fighting. There's going to be some bullet travel definitions that are fundamentally at odds with each other. But the fact remains that they still work in tandem. So bullet follow crosshair definition. So let me show in file system. I need to copy this path. So in here, load that in there, and then get bullets follow the crosshair. So on bullet created, is that it? This needs to be bullet follow crosshair travel definition. Cool. All right then, well that's basically it. So now I can test this. Let me try this. Shotgun. Bullet follow crosshair. So I guess the way that this would work then is that if you've got multiple copies of that rune, it just makes the follow behavior stronger. So you could potentially override any other behaviors that might be baked in. But let's see if this works. Oh, yeah. That definitely works. Now, I don't think I want them to be as strong as that. Yeah, so it shouldn't be that strong. So let me see if I can weaken that a little bit. I don't think it's as simple as just multiplying by this. I don't think that's going to work. I think I need to reduce the rotation. So I need to reduce the amount that it can rotate per frame. Yeah, because if I just multiply it by 0.25, it just slows the whole thing down. So that's not something that I can do. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take the current direction. Let me think. Angle diff is equal to args dot current velocity. Is that not giving me the current velocity? Let me see. Yeah, so args dot current velocity dot angle 2 angle diff is equal to args dot current velocity dot angle 2 calculated velocity var max angle change, or let's do this, angle change is equal to I don't know if this is going to work. mathf dot clamp private const float max angle change degrees per second. Let's do 15. mathf dot deg to rad. Okay, max radians per second. Angle change is equal to mathf dot clamp 0. Oh no. I want to calculate, or I want to clamp the value. So mathf.apps angle diff, just use the absolute value. Min max is max radians per second times get process delta time. This is very convoluted, but I can simplify it in a little bit. Calculated velocity is equal to args.bullet component. I can do this. Args.current velocity.rotated mathf.sine angle diff times angle change. Okay, so basically what's happening is I'm getting the direction of the crosshair, creating a calculated velocity based on that. I probably don't even need to do that here. I think this angle 2 will work. So I don't even need to do that there. So I'm getting the angle between wherever the bullet is currently going and where this travel definition wants it to go. And all I'm doing is I'm essentially saying, okay, whatever that angle difference is, we're going to clamp it to the max radians per second times get process delta time. And then we're just going to rotate the current velocity in accordance with that angle change. But I need to take the sign here because I did absolute value here for simplification, so that this would be a positive value. Or no, this would be a positive value. But yeah, then I'm just taking the sign of that original angle diff and multiplying it out. So I think that will work. Now the question is, I think this will be additive. So that means that if I have 3 of these, then the max angle change degrees per second is going to be 45 instead of 15. So anyway, let's see if that works. Does Godot do angles from -180 to +180? Yeah, so that's a tricky thing, but there are methods to handle that. Like, I think you can do slurp for smooth linear interpolation between like a spherical lerp, I guess is what it means. So that can help you get around angle problems. Also, there's there's a lerp angle method, which makes that easy as well. But yeah, you do have to be aware that the angles can just flip signs randomly. Okay, is that... Oh, it is working. Wait a minute. It's just not very strong. So let's do 30 then. You know what? I might even bump that up to 45. So yeah, bump it up to 45. Let's see how that looks. And then I want to test it with the Necromancer gun as well, but I want to see what happens if I put all of those stacks on the shotgun. That's not even fast enough. Let's bump it up even more, 90. I want it to feel good with 1 rune on it and then just get stronger the more runes you add on it. Okay, that feels nice. Now, what happens if I do this? Quick load, bullet, follow, crosshair. Bullet, follow, crosshair. That doesn't feel... I'm going to bump this up even higher. Oops, wrong scene. So 120 times 3 is 360, right? So it should be able to make a full rotation after 1 second, if my math is correct. Oh yeah, that works great. Okay, so let's get rid of that. I'm going to test it on a variety of guns here. I'm mostly curious about like the Necromancer gun. So let's see if that works. So first, I'm going to bullet follow crosshair. I just want to see what happens with 1 on it. And I should probably go into a bigger arena here, but... It looks like I can control them a little bit. Let's see what happens if I add more. Let's see if I can really steer them once I've got this. It does not look like I'm effectively steering them. I'm going to do a couple things. Pathfind travel definition, we're going to turn debug draw enabled. And then, let's see, Necromancer bullet. Debug mode. Let's see what happens. Got a couple of debug tools to bring out here. Should be able to see now what the path is being used. What path is being used, and also interesting. So it seems like he's just constantly pulled back along the path. I wonder if I should make it... What happens if I don't return anything here? What happens? You use the pathfinding avoiding stuff. I think it overrides all velocities. I do, but I don't think I'm doing that in the case of the skeleton. I am using avoidance, but I'm also I actually don't know how it's working in this case. Pathfind component. Oh yeah, it's overriding the velocity in the velocity component, but it's not overriding the velocity of the bullet, if that makes sense. But let's see. Okay. So it is somewhat working. I think that the skeleton just has too many different things acting on it. Because it also has this wander travel definition. So it's got a bunch of different velocities that are being thrown at it that don't really work well together. Trying to think of how I want to resolve this. Let's see. Can I just... I mean, I should start seeing some kind of difference if I really bump that up to 360. I should see quite a bit of difference here. Actually not seeing that much of a difference. I can definitely steer him along. He definitely wants to wander off the path a little bit more, but... See how it goes like beeline straight? That's definitely evidence that... Oh. That's evidence that the crosshair one is working, but... And he slows down quite a bit if I point the crosshair this way. But it doesn't quite modify the behavior, so let me think. I might just have to make this a special interaction, honestly. It should work for most bullets, but for the skeleton... Yeah, I'm kind of torn. I could either make it a special interaction for the skeleton, so for instance... Like in here, if I've got the enemy tracking travel definition, I will reset the target position for the skeleton to be the enemy closest to the crosshair. But this is a separate travel definition, so it's a separate travel definition, and it's being handled in a special case because these are special bullets. Actually, you know what I need to do probably? I think what I'm doing wrong is I'm averaging... Oh, you know what? Let me think. So the problem is that, like, if you imagine I have a vector pointing to the north and a vector pointing to the south, and they're equivalent in magnitude, and I average those out, what I'm going to get is vector 2.0, right? And I think that's what I'm seeing here with the skeleton, which is when I aim the crosshair behind the direction or opposite the direction that he's running, he slows down, but he keeps going the direction that he's running. And that's just because I'm adding up all the velocities and averaging them. So that works in most cases, but what I might want to do instead is average out maybe just the angles. So to say, well, you know, is that going to work? Yeah, I don't know. Basically keeping all the vectors like sort of normalized and then just taking the average of the angles between them. So you like truly change the direction. Or I could take a different approach here, which is maybe I could do, I could try doing additional velocity here instead, because that's handled differently. Let me see if that works. Could you influence the velocity of the pathfinding velocity as opposed to applying them separately? Because they're a constant tug of war. Yeah, the problem is I don't know how to do it in a different way with tug of war, because like, how do you combine multiple different bullet behaviors in an elegant way? I guess it could all be like building on top of each other, right? So like it's a chain of transformation. So you modify the velocity once here, and then you take that velocity and you provide further modifications to it. But is that going to be fundamentally different than just averaging them? I guess it would, right? I could try something like that. Well, that did not work. Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay. So instead of averaging them out, make it like a chain of applications. Let's see if I can. I think I was doing that before and I stopped doing that for some reason. But I guess we'll find out. Good morning. Hope your day is going well so far. It is. Thank you, D-Rose. Really enjoying seeing your process for figuring things out and debugging. Good. I'm glad. Yeah. I am glad to hear that. Well, we're going to keep debugging this. So we got the bullet component here. Travel args. So bullet travel args. Yeah. So instead of doing this, I'm going to say bullet travel args dot I'm going to get rid of these calculated velocity updates. Dot value. So we're just going to update this bullet travel args with the current velocity that's being used. Okay. Clobber velocity, yeah. So then this current velocity here, current velocity is equal to args dot bullet travel args dot current velocity. Okay. So now it's operating more so in a chain. So the first travel definition, it's going to do the apply travel update. If that returns a calculated velocity, then it's going to reassign the current velocity on that bullet travel arguments object. And then on the next loop, the next travel definition is going to get that, it's going to get that new velocity, which it can work on. So now let me try this. Path find travel definition. So in here, I need to make sure that I'm using the current velocity of the bullet. Right, okay. Actually, that's fine. Yeah, that should be fine. And then the wander travel definition. Yep, that's true. Okay, and then bullet follow crosshair. Same thing, it's all using args.current velocity. Cool. All right. Well, let's see if that makes a difference. I might need to tweak some numbers now, but hello. I don't know how to say your name, but welcome. Great to see you. Okay, well, it's still a tug of war, so. I'm wondering if I just change this back up to 360. Because it's constantly being pulled back to its target position, right? So that's kind of the problem. I think it's just always going to be a problem with the necromancers here. Or the skeletons, but I might have to make a special use case for this, but let's see. Gun worm left. Oops. I mean, I think that probably makes more sense. Gun bubble. I actually don't have a whole lot where averaging is happening, so I think this actually is going to be fine. Now, let me try something. So I'm going to need to test that some more, but let's say bubble. I just want to make sure that if I do like quick load enemy track, bullet track, there we go. So I want to see what happens if I do like a bullet track here. On the bubble. Tracking strength. Why am I doing a slurp? Oh, maybe this is wrong. Current direction. I don't know. I might want to change this too. Why is this taking this steady direction and curving it? What is a steady direction? Current velocity dot normalized. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Args dot current velocity dot normalized. I'm not in love with this slurp here, but this might actually be a better approach. It's just sequentially modifying the current velocity. Okay, gun bubble left. So what I'm trying to do is keep like the wander behaviors in place, right? So the bubble should still look like they're wandering while also converging upon the closest enemy, which that looks like it's working really well, actually. Now, if I go back to my necromancer, I'm going to get rid of this bullet follow and add enemy tracking, or bullet track, because this is going to affect the skeleton as well. Yeah, this is going to be not good. Skeleton's a good use case though, because it's got like all the different travel definitions that can appear on a bullet. Not all of them, but you know what I mean. I'm gonna need to update the orbit travel definition too, I think. Or do I want to do that? Orbit? Let me think. Oh boy. Oh, it's just using the additional velocity here. I think I want this to be... Okay. Sorry, I'm just testing a bunch of things at once here because I made this big change, so I want to make sure everything works still. But the banana should still orbit, I think. Yeah. Okay, very nice. Okay. Gun bubble left, so I was going to try the skeleton. He keeps dying, oh no. Keeps running into the freaking thing. Uh-oh. He got stuck. That's not good. Anyway. So yeah, this all appears to be working. Except for that guy that got stuck. Okay. Yeah, I think this is gonna be fine. Now, what is this one doing? Args at current velocity. I gotta try it with the frog now. Gotta do a bunch of testing with the frog. Anytime I change any of this stuff, I gotta bring out the testing. I don't like this slurp here. I might change this code, but one thing at a time. Let's test the frog. And I just want to go ahead and add the, like, enemy. Oops. Okay. Gun frog left. I just want to make sure the frog generally jumps in the direction of the enemy. Yeah, so see how they're kind of all seeking toward that? Whereas if I do this, he should seek up toward that enemy. Yeah, so that's definitely working. And even if I shoot like right here, he turns to the left to go to the closest one. So that's what that affix does, is it makes bullets track to the enemy nearest to the crosshair. But now what happens if I add bullet follow crosshair to this guy? Is that going to work? So really the skeleton's the only one that has the problem with following the crosshair. Gun frog left. So if I tell the frog to go to my crosshair. Yeah, see how he just kind of hovers around my crosshair? So I can like steer them. Yes, go. They all bunch up though. Why does that happen? Does the frog not have a wander? Does the frog not have a wander? What? Hey, is there, there's a good reason to use C# instead of GDScript with Godot. Is it just a matter of preference? Hello, Louise, or Louise. It's just a matter of personal preference, really. How is that guy changing directions? Oh, wait. Frog bullet. Right, wander travel definition. So I think this enemy track, this needs to be reduced. I might even just borrow the code that I wrote for this bullet follow crosshair. But let me do some things here. So put those up. Ooh, I didn't want to remove those. Don't want to commit those changes to those resources. Okay. All right, so we'll commit that. Where did my oh, did I delete it from the frog? I did, okay. I think I did, yeah. So what I want to do is this enemy tracking travel definition here is a little bit too strong. I think it's because it's using slurp here. So I'm actually gonna just make it identical to the bullet follow travel definition here. So I'm going to put this in here. Tracking strength. I don't think I really need this. Yeah, that's just useless. So I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. Oh, wait. Is that useless? No, we'll keep it. The problem is that this is also used by the skull enemy, so I'm gonna have to test that as well. But anyway, bullet follow crosshair travel definition. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this code over here. Okay, so this desired direction is equal to args.bullet component direction to target node dot global position. Desired direction. And this can be times tracking strength. Okay. So now this essentially just becomes, again, rotating the velocity to be in line with where it wants to go. So let me try this. Come here, bud. What are you doing, cat? Okay. All right. Okay. Nice. None of the frogs are going to make it past the brazier. So you can see how they all kind of like converge on the enemy there. Now let's try the bullet crosshair follow. Oh wait, no, that's fine. I want to try the enemy skull now. You know what I'm going to do? Did I remove that tracking strength? I did from there, okay. So the skull then, or enemy flying or bullet or something. Yeah, enemy flying or bullet, enemy tracking travel definition, tracking strength. Turn that down to 0.5. All right, then I'll spawn the skull and see how this looks. Okay, that tracking is way too strong. So you know what I might do I think the tracking is just too strong generally speaking with this. So I'll move this down to 180 instead. The bullet tracking, the bullet crosshair tracking can be a little bit stronger, I suppose. But the enemy tracking here. Okay. All right, so spawn skull. Let's see if this one works. Yeah, that's like way too tight still. We're gonna have to try this with a standard one. What even does use the tracking definition? I'm not sure actually. Wish I had the motivation to learn to make a 2D top-down ARPG in Godot, kind of like Hero Siege 2 if you're familiar. Yeah, I know Hero Siege 2, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work though, that's for sure. Okay, that looks much nicer. Yeah, okay, that's much nicer. Now let me try it with, get rid of the bullet track. Let's do, let's just do the moss and we'll see how it looks. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. So this is very strong for some reason. Why is that not as strong when I'm doing the bullet crosshair track? For some reason it's like, feels way stronger. Am I doing something wrong? Maybe the bullet tracking is a little bit strong. Just gotta do a bunch of tests here. Okay, well, that's looking all right. And then if I do the enemy tracking, it's going to be a little bit weaker, I think. Might have to play with these numbers a little bit, but... yeah, why is it like immediately snapping? I think that's a problem. It's immediately snapping. Why is that? C# has lots of external libraries you could hypothetically use for development. It has more industry street cred. GDScript is top tier engine integration though. Never regretted using it. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, GDScript is awesome. I very much like it, but yeah. C# also has a lot of nice things going for it. Can't wait for the release. The game's looking great. Thank you. How much of your utils have you changed from what you've done in the courses? I like the weighted table a lot. I assume you've made many improvements since then. No, actually not really. That weighted table implementation in the GDScript course is basically just a translation of the C# loot table that I'm using. There are some differences, but nothing super, you know, super different. Angle 2. So what does it think the angle diff is? That max radians per second. So if I do this, .38. .38 radians, is that right? Oh no. What? That doesn't seem right, does it? Tracking strength. Why is this 10? Huh? I'll set it to 1 by default. That's probably why. That's probably why. It should be 1 by default. Well, that's good. I was really worried that that was going to be a huge problem, but it's not. So now I can see. Oh yeah, look at that. That's a much nicer curve. Okay. So I'm gonna actually, okay, so since this was wrong, bump this back up. Actually, I could probably make this 180. So there's still gonna be a problem with the skeleton, I think. So I might need to do a very specific fix for that, but we can try it. So let's see. Actually, that is a little bit strong. Gotta just keep testing. Keep testing away. Cool. All right. All right. So I want to try it with the frog again. I need to also spawn this. The, what you call it? Spawn the, skull. Yeah, let's see what the skull does. Oops. All right, that feels fine. Yeah, so I want those bullets to just, you know, generally track me and circle back, so that's fine. And now the frogs are seeking the skeleton, or the skull, rather. Still following their own lead, though. Okay, I think that's fine. And then, again, Oh, I already have the Necromancer bullet track on. So I'm gonna try the bullet follow again on the skeleton gun and see what happens, but I'm not expecting it to do anything. Okay, that works great. So let's try the quick load follow crosshair. This is still probably not going to work well, but we'll see. Yeah, I might have to do a custom solution for this. Basically, just like if it's follow crosshair, then they're just going to set their path point to be on the crosshair, you know? But it's too hard to get them to deviate off the path. The other thing I could do is I could do something similar to what I've got going on here with the tracking strength. I could just multiply the tracking strength up a bunch. If the skeleton travel definition detects that there's an enemy or a bullet follow crosshair, maybe I could just have a tracking strength that just like increases the influence that this can have on a skeleton. That might be a thing I can fix as well. Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider here, but I don't think I want any of these things to change here. Tweaks to bullet, follow, and track. Cool. All right, let's commit those. So I've added this bullets always follow crosshair. I need to make an icon for it and also make it work with Necromancer. So still some work to do on that. We didn't get to the rat gun, unfortunately, but maybe we'll do that at some other time. I might handle that this afternoon too. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, that's going to be it for the stream today. So I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your support. It's awesome to have you all here. Again, you could check out the links in the description below for all of the ways in which you can support me and pick up one of my Udemy courses, for example, or wishlist Gunforged and purchase that when it comes out. That would be huge. So yeah, we're gonna try to make Gunforged a successful game. So lots of work to do still, but it's almost here. It's almost here. All right, that's it for the stream. Thank you again, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye-bye.